Good morning, students. Hope you all have followed the previous videos. In that previous classes, we have discussed about what is physical change and what is chemical change. Now, today we will at first discuss that is it possible for a phenomenon that physical change and chemical change both are happening at the same time. So in this case, we will take a simple example which we have studied from our junior classes in fact, that is burning of a candle. Now, how we call this phenomenon is physical change, a chemical change. Now, when a candle burns, then you must have noticed that the wax starts to melt. Now, molten wax flows down and after some time it solidifies. Now, by the process we can understand it is just a change in state. Means liquid to solid again. First solid to liquid and then liquid to solid again. So, state change means it is a simple physical change. Now, on the other hand, what we observe that the flame that burning means it is happening in the presence of oxygen. Now, whenever something burns, we have seen many examples that it produces carbon dioxide, water vapor, or some amount of ash. That means it is the process where we are getting some new substances and which cannot be reversed back. That means it is an irreversible process. So the name of the process we can understand is it is a chemical change. So we can understand that both the process, that is physical change and the chemical change, both are happening at the same time. Now students, we will try to learn about another characteristics which we can see during a physical change and a chemical change. That is the involvement of energy change. Now, whenever a change we can observe, we must understand this that there must be a change in energy. That means either the energy will be absorbed or the energy will be given out or it will be emitted by the substance which is undergoing a change. Depending upon this factor, we can classify the changes into two. First is exothermic change. Another is endothermic change. Now, what exactly means exothermic change? Exothermic changes means where heat is evolved. Evolved means emitted out. If the heat is evolved, then we call the type of change is exothermic change. And just the reverse, that means exact the opposite phenomenon will be known as endothermic change. So what does it mean? It means a change in which heat is absorbed. We call that type of changes as endothermic change. Now let us take few examples of the energy change in a physical change first. Now, already in the previous classes, we have came to know that physical change means if we take a solid state, after that we are supplying heat to it, then that state will be converted into liquid state and vice versa. That means from the liquid state, if we cool it, then it again converts into the previous state, that is solid state. Clearly we can understand here that here is an involvement of heat energy. Now we have already studied that whenever heat is absorbed, we call that process endothermic change. And whenever heat is emitted out, we call that phenomenon as exothermic change. Now, let us relate this with an example. Suppose you are boiling water in a kettle. Now, after some time, you will observe from the spout of the kettle, water vapor are coming out. And that means heat is also been given to it. On the other hand, if we take that water vapors and condense, that means we cool them. What we will observe? We will observe again it is converting into the liquid state. So, here absorption of heat is happening whenever liquid is converting into the vapor state, whereas on the other hand, when vapor state is converting into liquid state, it is releasing the heat. So we can understand this is exothermic process and endothermic process happening in the physical change. Let us take few another examples. Like, if you put some glucose on your tongue, what you will feel? You will feel cool. Because glucose absorbs heat from tongue and gives a cooling effect. Now, as it is absorbing heat, we can understand it is an endothermic process. Similarly, if you dissolve ammonium chloride in water, you will see that the solution what we are getting, it is losing its temperature. That means it is cooling. Why? Here also, ammonium chloride absorbs heat from water while dissolving. So we can understand absorption of heat is happening means it's an endothermic process. Now on the other hand, if we are adding acid to water, suppose we are taking concentrated hydrochloric acid. We are adding it, dissolution we are doing with the water, then we will see heat will evolve. Heat is evolving out, that means it is an example of exothermic process. Now let us see how the examples are there when chemical change involves change in energy. Very in the beginning, we can take a simple example, that is, we know burning is change because new substance we get. Now, whenever, suppose you are burning a matchstick, it emits heat and light. We all know. Now, it is emitting heat. So, if any process is emitting heat, that means it is an exothermic process. Now, on the other hand, suppose you are taking quicklime. Now, quicklime is a chemical. It reacts with water. Now, when it is reacting with water, then a lot amount of energy is evolved. So, definitely, this is also an example of exothermic process. And whenever we add quicklime into water, we make a thick paste of it, of slaked lime. And this process of making slaked lime, we call it slaking of lime. So as here also, a huge amount of energy is given out by the process. So it is also an example of exothermic process. Students, we have completed our chapter. Now, go through the chapter along with your textbook. Learn them properly. Thank you.